get an audio check, guys. I don't want to have a crackhead headset. Oh no. Are we better? Oh, I think we have got something now. So, good evening, guys, and welcome to something a little bit different here at Home of Racing. This is P-Zero. This is round 1 of a new championship, so we're getting on board with them right from the off. And tonight they start in the desert of Bahrain. As I get a quick sip of my cup of tea, I hope you are all well this evening. We'll get some data on the track, and then I've been so kindly given some analogies of our drivers we have on board. Of course, people that know the channel will recognise some names: Shiv, Mick, Matoman, Skarma, Dixie, of course, Rob Wills. So there is some names on board that we also, of course, do know. If you want an idea of maybe where this pack lies in terms of pace, for those of you that stay on board with the channel and know of the 3 leagues that take part, it's probably very close to Monday night's midfield, but all of the guys kind of within that zone. So we see how contested a Monday night midfield is from like that P3 spot down once you take the fast guys like Mike and Rage out of the equation. But that P3 spot down is very, very competitive. And this should hopefully be the shape of the grid this evening. But let's get a quick rundown. While we get some guys out on track, we'll go on board with the man I know, and Mr. Skarmat, and I will jump because I have some info on all of our guys and exactly how it's been for them how the last season is. So in the Williams we have Matty, last season's champion, and he won at Bahrain last season, so he's coming in with some good attributes to his name. Very consistent as well last season, 21 podiums in 24 races, so he's going to be a driver that will definitely have to be watched. The other driver in Williams is Dale Shooter. Only had 1 race in which he finished in the top 10. He's quite new to the game, but his league experience in other racing games, so I would assume that probably comes from the GT3 category. You're either a GT3 or an F1 guy, maybe even be GT4 or something along that lines, but I reckon he's of the sim nature. In Ferrari we have Rob Wills, a guy we know very well, second in the championship here at P-Zero last season. He had a difficult first half of the season, but then managed to string together 9 podiums to find himself in a better finishing position than maybe he would have felt off the first half of the season, so he managed to get himself back to 7. Dixie, new to the league, having only done a couple of races in P-Zero so far, but we hear he is a bit of an alternate strap merchant, so he'll be one to watch. Matoman, another name we know in the Alfa Romeo, scored the most wins, poles and fastest laps last season, so probably should have been last season's champion, bar some bad strategy calls. Cost him a lot. So 3rd in the championship last season, and looking from off how consistent he was in the wins and fastest laps, he was hoping to make that better this time around. Then the other driver we have Arwen Nevins, relatively new to league racing, and he's shown some very good performances in qualifying in the top 6, but just struggling yet, and I think this is where most drivers will struggle when they're new to the league racing front, is in terms of race pace. They're not easy cars to get along with for multiple laps, especially when dirt and temperatures start to come into the equation. But once you get a bit more time in the car and understand that, I feel that will come to him, especially if he's harnessing some good lap time in qualification. Then we have in the McLaren Shiv, 3 wins last season, taking a very good victory in Monaco. Of course, that's one that everybody wants to get. Spa and also Abu Dhabi. Similar to Rob, a very inconsistent start to last season. Finished 4th in the championship, and hoping for some regular podiums this year and maybe to sneak that old win. Keith is probably the most experienced guy in the league. He'll be hoping for very regular top 10 finishes and maybe the odd ability to spring a surprise, so he's maybe the dark horse inside that top 10. Leon, and then we go to Mercedes and Skarma, race winners last season, but really struggled towards the latter end. I think Skarma maybe had the same effect in OTL and maybe other leagues that we've seen him in before. Then we have Leon, similar to his brother Alwyn, however stronger in races rather than qualifying, so we may see Alwyn, Leon further down the grid and then make big gains in the race, so he's maybe one to watch to get some action on the screen. Then we have Aston Martin and Laverick, able to take advantage last season of inconsistency of others, but then as people got their act together in the second half of the season, they maybe tailed off. So he'll be looking to just take that next step when he's under pressure by other drivers. He will be hoping to take that step and not maybe just fall back when the other guys are coming through and hold firm in his position. Then we have Metcalf, shows flashes of pace, but maybe labelled as the Grosjean of P-Zero, and himself a lot of incidents, so hopefully he can get that out the system and get some good incidents scored across the season. Then we have Nyari and Alpine as a lightning start, but reputation for a lot of contacts, so maybe he's a Grosjean, yet to score a podium despite finishing fourth many times last season, so maybe he can turn that round. Just as we see there, Skarma will go round. Has he picked up a retirement there? He's not, he's only lost the front wing. We'll need to be very careful because up the top of turn 10. Then we have Jock, scored a podium last season, he's still getting used to the change, or the change from pad to wheel. I know personally it's not an easy one. Then in Red Bull, we have Mick, another podium contender, but penalties and instant cost him at times. Then Speechy, a very good driver in the wet, so he's going to be one to watch when conditions get damp. And you expect to see Speechy in the top 6 regularly. And then we have Rodders in the Haas, reliable, and we're looking to score regular top 10. So midfield looking very, very contested by many, many drivers. So I think we're going to see, if one driver is a good race and one driver is a bad race, you'll see big changes in terms of how that affects finishing position. Oh, has the mic been bad forever? Chat. Tell me, chat, if you're still watching, was the mic bad for all that time? So pace setters at the moment, Matty are only driving in 26s at the moment, 26.9, he takes that pole position spot, of course. Rob Wilson, are you saying it's better? Yeah, did you hear, don't tell me it done all that screeching noise through my full driver recap there, that would be, mic crack, oh my god, crackling or better, oh no, guys, tell me. We've got Leon there, who we did say would be competitive. He is in P2. Oh no, right, I think I can hear it now. Right, I think we are okay. So, and then we've got Keith P4, Skarma 5. Of course, we see him have that big instant at the top of turn 10. Or turn 12, I should say. Then Built on Matt on the sauce on a 28.7. Mick on a 28.7 on the mediums. Mika Lando also on a 28.7 on the mediums. Then Rodders 28.9, he's on the soft compound tyre. Dixie a 29.3 on the mediums. And then Dale, Alwyn, Matt, Jock, Laverick, Shiv. I don't want to say a name and sound like a donkey, but I think that is, I'm going to call him Urari, because I think that's better, so I'll just call him Urari. And then Speechy and Rob Wills all still to set the time. I think my kids have been little jobbies in the other room. Let's get to a driver that's maybe on track. We have Laverick in the Aston Martin on a hot lap. Just coming into the guts of Sector 2 in the second DRS, or the third DRS zone of the circuit. I guess how you want to look at it. I guess this is DRS zone number 2. Because the third DRS zone starts pre-start finish line, so can't say it's the second of the lap, excuse me. So let's see what pace Laverick puts in. 106.1 for Sector 2, so I think he's going to be a driver somewhere lower end 28s, maybe into 27s. In that last corner, Metcalf there ahead. He may get a little bit of a tour, though. Metcalf, I think, is going into the pits. Yes, he dives away early. So Laverick to the line, and he goes to a 28.0. I got a lap prediction right. I didn't think I would be that good, but he was low 28s, almost sneaking into the 27s, not far away. So where is my guys that I know? I'm not going to give them any screen time because I know them all. I want to watch some new faces. Built on Matt on an outlap. Who else? So we got Alwyn or Dale Shooter, Mr. Shooter McGavin. So I'm going to call him Old Shooter McG. Coming to the line, he is on a hot lap. He's looking to be a little bit down on the pace. It's going to be a low 30.2. But maybe had a little moment in his lap to cost him a little bit of time. Mataman, you can go away. Jock on an invalidated lap. Nieri is on an outlap, so he's taking it easy. Speechy on his mediums goes into P12 on a 30.2. better now. Thank you, chat. I appreciate it. Vom Red, Lionel, I don't know who you are, man. Why are you always in our chats? Strange, man. So where is Jock? Sector 1 on the major compound tire, and that'll pick up an invalidation. So I assume it is strict corner cutting at the moment. Rob Wills on the medium compound. Where can he go? I think he'll be a driver to watch coming up to Sector 1. We'll follow the Ferrari man and we'll check his split. It's going to be a low 28, 28.2, so looking relatively competitive to the top 3, in fact, at the moment, I would say. Looking nice and tidy. Maybe misses his an apex by an inch or two there, but it's not really an apex that you worry too much about. Corner exit's much more critical in getting the power on, and then keeps it nice and easy down in tricky turn 9 and 10. Then up to turns 11 and 12. Very careful on this inside curb as you come up the hill, because that will whip the car round in an absolute heartbeat. So he's nice and easy, then he'll take it all the way left to just open the line up nice and steady, staying away from the inside curb. Then up to turn 13, just at the start of sector 3. Probably got a lot of lap time in it there as Rob. He can use much more of the curb on the inside there. But down towards the last 2 corners, although in an F1 car it's really only 1. It turns 14 and 15, or it's really only turn 14 because, yes, turn 15 is hardly a corner. DRS will pop open into the line. It's going to be a 27.9 for Rob. I did say he was close to the top 4. And he gets into that P4 position on a 27.9. But Matty at the moment, looking just a little bit ahead of everybody else. Spilt on Matt is... I don't think he's on a run. That looks like he's just coasting. How is Dixie getting on? He's coming into the pits. He got up to a 28.6. We've done a lot of laps on the medium compound tyre. Mick just going out on a lap. And then we've got Rogers not far behind. How is Jock getting on? So, Jock is coming up to the end of the Sector 2 split. We'll get an idea here of where he's going to be. He's very low in fuel though, so hopefully he's got enough to get him to the line. Car has a little bit of twitch. I don't know if that was connection issues there though, more than anything else. Coming down towards the last couple of corners, where will Jock stick his Alpine? It's going to be in the 28s here, I think. Oh, he just breaches out the 28s. 29.3 for Jock, and the P14, of course, on that medium compound tyre. So Dixie at the moment on the bubble, he's P10. We probably think he's got a 27 in the car on that soft compound tyre, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Mika is not on a lap. With Keith on an out lap, so we got further back. Where is Mato man? How is he getting on? Welcome everybody. I hope you are all well. Welcome to P-Zero. New to the home of racing, or Racing Hub, whatever you know it is. It's all for one and one for all, and Matoman will pick up an invalidation up at the top of the hill, so that'll be his medium run over. Shiv through the last corner. Is he going to complete the lap? I think he is. Shiv looking very competitive as well, so 28.4 on the medium compound tyre. But Rob Wills, the only man on that medium at the moment, and he's now just put on a soft compound tyre, so I think Rob could put Matty under a little bit of pressure for that front row of the grid. And maybe even P1. Who else do we have on a lap? Matoman's invalidated. Roddles, how are you getting on? He's a little bit down, but I think he is on a lap, although the ERS is very low. We've got Mick on a lap also. Is he going to be up any? Stay with him at the moment. The energy though, if he is up, I think is going to cost him. He's 1.1 seconds up, so... Oh, Mick going deep into the 27s here, but is the energy going to hamper the lap time, especially through the last couple of corners? because he is very, very low, but he will still find the gain. Can he stay in the 27s though, or he's going to get out the lap? So Mick knew he has some time on the board. Skarma, are you up? Let's see. He is. Skarma also 1.1 seconds up, so Skarma looking for a low 27 here, maybe looking to put built on Matt under pressure. Has he got any more time for the last couple of corners? Can he get close to Matty? P1? What you got, Skarma? Look how many drivers sitting on a 28 second lap at the moment. And this is going to be a very good lap. It's a 26.8 for Skarma. He puts the car onto pole position as it stands. 26.8, half a tenth in it now between the top two. And if Matty doesn't come out anytime soon, Skarma will take pole position. Laverick, how much are you up? Coming up the top of the hill, couple of tenths. So Laverick maybe trying to threaten the top three if he's got any more time. Metcalf's staying well out of the way, that's a good man. And then he'll tuck into his teammate and maybe try and steal a bit of a toe opening the lap here. So Laverick will go to the line. We'll get more than Metcalf and we'll see that he is tucked in nice to pick up the toe. Laverick will improve to P6 just to a 27.6. But giving his teammate a nice bit of distant toe in the run down to turn 1 as we see a Williams driver coming out the pits and getting well out of the way. Good man Matty there. So did that help Metcalf any in the opening of his lap? We will find out as he comes round the next corner and hits the sector split. So get a good indication here if the toe was worth it. And he's a tenth and a half down, so not looking so at the moment. Rob Wills, where are you? Coming up to the second to last corners. I think this is probably going to be the last runs we're seeing here at the moment. Yeah, Ray is off a lap at the moment. Keith, he's one of our lead men on a lap at the moment, so we'll stay with the experienced man and see just where he's going to go. He's 1.7 seconds down, so he's not on a competitive lap. Laverick's pulled over. Urari's went very wide. Metcalf down. Mika, how are you getting on? You're looking a couple of tenths up from what my Delta's saying, so we'll stay with Mika as he comes up to the sector 2 split. We'll get a good indication. Let's hopefully there is this driver up. Shiv is out for the session, as is Rodder, so Shiv's best position as it stands at the moment is P9. Mika round what is best is the second to last corner, and he anticipates Laverick moving over and he says I'm going to run over there and try and just steal any bit of gain I can find in at the last corner. He goes, keeping it nice and tidy, very gentle on the gears as Rob Wills puts the car onto pole with 26.6. Mika now gets himself to P7 on a 27.6, but Rob Wills onto pole position by 0.2 of a second, but Matty is on a lap. Coming up to the end of sector 1, this will be the last runs of the session. Has Matty found any time? Can he take back that crown? He's half a tenth up. It's not enough at the moment, but if you've lost a lot of lap time at Bahrain, it tends to be in sector 2 and sector 3. So this will be the deciding factor in our battle, I think, for the front of the grid, because Mika will not be on a lap, and even if he is, I don't think he'll have the energy to set a competitive time. So Matty, can he get his car back onto that P1 spot, or at least share the front row alongside Rob Wills, or is it going to be a sneaky steal for Skarma for that front row in the closing laps? Matty, how much is he up as he comes to sector 2? And only a tenth. So as it stands, it's only good enough for P2 as Rob Wills put a blinder in here at the end. And Adam says the game's not put any soft tyres on for him, so he will start P12. But Matty here, round the last corner, can he dislodge Rob Wills from P1? Has he got enough time in the car? To the line he goes, and he does it. It's a 26.678, and Rob Wills is on pole by 7/100ths of a second. Matty only good enough for P2. Do we have anything else on a lap? I don't think we do. Jock, He's found the checkered flag, and who's that? Who's that improved? Mick improved by 1.9 seconds. He goes to P3, so Skarmo loses out 2 positions. Not only does he lose out in P2, but he drops to P4, and now somebody else, Matoman! I'm missing drivers everywhere. Matoman, look how close that is at the top of the grid. Matoman now beats Mate by 1/1000th of a second, a 0.677 for Matoman, and a 0.678 for Mate. Absolutely nothing splitting the two drivers, and better still, under a 10th between our top 3. What a dramatic end to qualifying that was. Just when I had discounted every driver being out, I thought the battle was only for Mate to get up there. And Matoman and Mate out of nowhere absolutely stick nailers in, and then Mikey from nowhere also. So look at the gaps in that top 5. This is anybody's race, absolutely anybody's. And no Scammer, P2 to P1, 2 and 3. Yeah, I don't think you're going to get much closer than that. Good effort there as well, boys. That was a nice little ending to a qualifying session. So Rob Wells, Rob Wells on pole, and there it is. Mataman 7/100ths of a second behind in P2, and then Mate 1/1000th of a second again, splitting Mate and Mataman. So Mate in P3 losing out by the smallest of margin. Then we've got Mick in P4, Skarma 5, both there on their 26.8s. Then we got into the group of the 27s, built on Matt Keith in P7, Leon 8, Mika 9, Laverick in P10. Then Yeri in P11, also on the 27s, and then Shiv probably feels underperformed a little bit, or maybe his intentions were always to be outside the top 10 and go for that alternate strategy. In P12 on the medium compound tyre, he never got run in the soft. Then we got Metcalf Jock in P14, and I missed the thing because I always forget as a spectator I need to hit advance to scroll on the table. What a donkey. Is the mic still good, chat? Just nudged it there. I don't want it to go crazy. 2-minute wait for everyone. Ah, roger that, Shiv. Thank you very much if you're watching. I just got your message. Oh, so if there's a couple of minute break, bear with me, chat. And somebody in the chat stay here because I need to know if the headset goes crazy. I'm going to go to the restroom. like that, chat. I hope you're watching. Somebody tell me that we are good. Please, chat. Is the headset going bonkers? In fact, let me just turn my volume up and I can check. Oh, I think we're good, right? I think we're good. I just gone with it. So on row 1 of the grid for P-Zero's round 1 and their debut race in the home of racing, aka Racing Hub, is Rob Wills and Mataman row 1, Matty and Mick on row 2, Skarma and Bilton Matt on row 3, Keith and Leon on row 4, Mika and Laverick on row 5, Nelly, Nieri and Shiv on row 6, Metcalf and Jock on row 7, Dixie and Rodders on row 8, Arwin and Shooter McGavin, I'm going to call him Shooter McGavin because I like that better, on row 9, and Speechy all alone at the back of the grid on that 10th row in P19. And if qualifying is anything to go by in the lap times, this should be a very tense fight for the race victory. Don't get too excited just because you're live either, guys. Just go and do your thing. I am sure you will provide us some cracking content nonetheless. I believe in you, chat. And racers, sorry, chat. Because it's not chat this racing, I'm stupid. So, let's actually get some things on the board. I've neglected my duties of showing the chat some information. So, top 10, outside the top 10, Rodders are only man on the soft compound tyre. Every other driver on that alternate strat. So, that's going to be one to watch. We'll go to our man at the back, and Speechy is quite a bit off the back of the grid. As he lines up for P-Zero's debut race at Bahrain, and round 1 of their championship as well, so getting with him right from there. Speechy will find his grid slot. We'll get the broadcast view on board, we'll get rid of that on the side, and we'll watch as we get 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and P-Zero's round 1 Bahrain Grand Prix is away, and it's a relatively good start from our front row. But Matt, second phase of his launch is much stronger than Rob Wilson. Matt will get the jump down into turn 1. Ezra Williams there of Matty trying to put under pressure, and what's happened there? Oh my god, there's been huge contact. Jock has just come all the way through turn 1, and I don't even understand what's happened there, but Matoman has been absolutely nailed at the front. So Matty will now take control, and I think Matoman has been absolutely robbed there. He must definitely have some damage on board. So Matty will go through in P1, Skarma, P2, Keith, P3. Let's actually look at position changes and we'll see who's lost out the most. Look at that, Yeri managed to gain 6 positions on that medium compound tyre. So this is going to be the interesting one. Medium tyres up to P5, P8. Dixie's managed to gain a couple also. So we'll look further back. Mick and Keith look set to do some battle, and then this midfield battle, look at the guys batter through the guts of the sector 2 and up the hill for the second time. Matoman though already coming back through. So where is our biggest gainers? Let's see now fully who's gained the most. Now that we settle, first lap is down, although I think we're going to see Laverick put Leon under some pressure here. We will stay with this bite as they go side by side as Dixie there tucks into the back of Rodders. We see them weaving all over the track to guys at some DRS. Is Dixie going to get close enough to make a move? He's going to go big on the brakes and try and go right round the outside. Dixie looking very competitive on this medium compound tyre now, just needs to be careful and do not run too much of that curb on the inside line. But we'll go back to this Leon and Laverick battle as Leon will try the inside line up to turn 4. Oh, and there's a bit of contact there as they touch wheels, but Leon will go through, and that will allow Rodders now to jump on that battle, and he'll now get through Laverick, and Dixie left behind, but he's all over the back of the Aston Martin man, and he'll need to be careful because he's got Shiv there as Dixie looks in the inside down to turn 7. It's not going to come this time around though. So Dixie not capitalising on that small mistake there. We'll go back to this battle further up. We've got Nieri and Mika Lando started to do battle. The soft tyre guys not checking away just as aggressively I thought they would be. How is Matoman getting on? Matoman has fell to the back of the grid. I think he pit, so he maybe had some damage. So Mataman's still under pressure from Skarma in that P2 position, but you need to be careful there because you do not want to be picking up too many warnings early in this race. Mick chilling, Keith using a lot of energy in the opening couple of laps, down at 20%, and that's going to be a long old grind to get through to the end of the race on that kind of energy. From that back we have a gap opened up from P4 to P5, and then Mika got one big old train behind him. P5 all the way to P15, 10 drivers all in the DRS train of each other. As we go further back, we got a bit of battling here. Dixie on Laverick down the inside. Dixie now looking to get up to P11. He's going to shoot a bit deep into turn 1, but he'll cover off that inside line on the exit and get himself a good one on that medium compound tyre. Is now Shiv puts Laverick under pressure with DRS being enabled of course in this lap. Dixie will retain that P11 and Shiv will now go through it, and Rob Wills, another driver who's lost out massively. Did he get caught up in that contact at the start of the race? He's down 13 positions. And Rob Wills is going to look at Laverick here, a nice move, slick down the inside, Laverick leaving space. Rob Wills will leave space and exit as well, so that then will give Laverick the returning inside line for down the hill at turn 9. And he will retain. Good bit of racing there between the boys. Let's go further up the field here. This battle between the Haas and Leon and Metcalf. Metcalf looked to the inside line. He was just trying to unsight Leon there into turn 10, and that's exactly what he's done. As they come up the hill, he'll now go around the outside, up over the hill, and get the position up to P8 from Metcalf. Good move there. Now, can Rodders jump in this? Dixie's still in the frame as well. A bit of an energy advantage to the guys in front. He's sitting about 30% stronger. Shiv following Dixie all around the road as well, so he's trying to stay in that tow. These guys feel at the moment, I think, faster than the guys in front. It's just a waiting game. As Skarma now goes through on Matty at the front. Matty will see Skarma make the move, open the line up. No, he's going to get DRS in the run up to turn 4. Chris on comms again as always, Jensen. Matty now up the inside to turn 4. Takes the position now back from Skarma. That battle will continue. We'll go back now to Mika and Keith. Mika has to double take there. Felt that Keith was going to turn in on him up in the run to turn 4, and that battle will continue on. Let's go further back. Dixie, Metcalf, Rodders and Leon all in a battle. Shiv also on the back of this, and Rob Wills now starting to come back and get involved as we get Yeri and Bilton Matt now going by side further up. Downhill and then up. The fall through, built him up, will go through. He's back in his starting position now after losing a couple off the start. So he now needs to keep his eyes forward and find some positions. I know, it's like that's such a good plan. I've never even looked at it that way, Jensen. I don't mind it. Keeps me busy. And people seem to rate my comms very well. I think they're deaf and dumb, but you know, I don't mind helping people out. As the train behind Leon becomes rather big. Jensen, if you've only just joined, you need to rewind back to the end of qualifying and look how close it was between the top 3 and tell me you've seen a top 3 closer than that in league racing. Pretty crazy stuff. As Skarma now goes back through a Matty. Matty will do the same thing again. He'll watch the checkup, get the exit, tuck back in behind, DRS open and go on the run up to turn 4, back through on the inside. These guys all the while allowing Mick to close the gap. Oh, Keith and Mika. Mika eventually gets through, aka Chris White, for those who don't know him as Mika. Eventually gets through up to P4. Now can he make any gains and pull away from Keith? I did feel like Keith was holding him up a little bit, so we will see. Let's see how Dixie's getting on further back. Starting to open a bit of gap to Rob, although Rob's managed to get through, and Shiv. And Dixie really needs to try and push on in this medium compound tyre. Will he let his teammate go though? Dixie and Rob, the two Ferrari men. Oh, excuse me, chat. Let's get some cherry cola. So where else do we have some battles? Have a look through the timing screen. I think this is the fight to watch at the moment. So they're back in the grid, although we'll go back to this P1 and the battle up front. Is Skarma poised to make another move here on Matty? I think Matty's starting to stretch his legs a little bit now. Skarma was just hanging on a bit better on the energy than the others behind, but he's now at a position where it's maybe not so strong, and Mick all the while getting much closer to that DRS zone. As we see some racing further back, Dixie and Rob Wills, a bit of side by side action up the hill. Rob Wills will go through now, Dixie and Shiv side by side. Although Dixie's going to be boxed in and he'll have nowhere to go, Rob Wills will hold, Shiv will hold Dixie on that outside line and just box Adam out. Good tactical driving there from Shiv, and really nothing Adam could do to reply to that. He just got himself stuck in a little bit of position, although Willie looked for a move down the hill, not quite this time around, although I think he's happy to stay in the fight and keep it going. Let's go to the Bilton mat. Mika, oh, and I've just went to the Bilton mat as his cars went round. So Bilton mat will fall all the way down the order. How far back will he go? I think he'll slot in between the Shiv and Dixie battle. Can Dixie get through? He's going to look to the inside line, but he'll need to come and check up behind. So Dixie needs not to get caught now. Such a delicate spin. We've got Yeri and Mika now going side by side down this back straight. Into the last corner. We'll get on board. I think we're going to get a better view of that. Mika decides to check back into the racing line and just focus on corner exit. We've got Mick, the first of our pit stopper. Mika checking away on the soft compound tyre as well. And look at this, Yeri and Keith. Yeri will go through, medium compound tyre now coming into play, I think. And look at Dixie and Bilton Matt, can he make a move? Not this time around, and this is the time with Bahrain, you get stuck in a bit of DRS train, there's not much you can do. Look at that train of cars coming up to turn 4. The signs of a very competitive grid though, is it doesn't matter how fast the guy is at the front. The big point of league racing is close racing between many drivers, and P-Zero seem to be offering that very well. So is Adam going to send one at any point? Not at the moment. I think Pedro would be a very good fit for this league. I wonder if he would be open to racing on a Sunday evening, because I think Pedro would enjoy this very much. So if any of you league owners are watching and that number 20 driver spot is to be filled, I have a driver in mind that would fit your midfield fight very nicely, I think. So a plethora of pit stops now filtering in. So Mick's going to be the interesting one. Has he triggered an undercut? And I think Mick has gotten a bit of an advantage. Has he managed to gain any on Matty though? Not as yet, but Scum of course not pit. Shiv and Rob Wills now going side by side. Oh, and there's a bit of contact and Shiv will go round. Oh, and Dixie couldn't get out of the way of it. Has he picked up any damage there? I'd be amazed if he's got no damage. Yeah. I think, oh does he? Let's stay. Is Metcalf now loses it also? Oh, and has there been contact between Metcalf and Jock? Oh no, oh I don't know what's going on here. Jock's shown as a, oh, I think my game's a bit broken. I think I've got some desync guys. Dixie now up to P4 in his medium compound tyre. I definitely think he's a wounded driver at the moment. But, oh, and he is. No, he's not. It's still showing end plates. So can he just see it out? pace is still reasonable. But will he choose to pit? Soft it from now. Not, he's going to continue on. Yeri behind has the DRS, but absolutely no energy, so I think he'll struggle to make any move here. Oh, that's a big move there. Adam does yield. Yeri goes through. And for good measure, he gets a second batch of DRS. How was Matoman getting on? He obviously boxed a lot earlier than the guys in front. And he's now within 9 seconds of Mick, which is not too bad. He's found 11 seconds of gain on the guys at the front. So Matt may come back into this one. Look at this battle now. I don't know if Jock's a full car because he's ghosted on my screen. I'm not 100% sure what's going on there, chat. So Adam doing a job at the moment on his wounded car. He's still going. He probably wants to try and take that medium to at least 15, but he's going to go in, so Adam goes for that earlier start. Matty sets the fastest lap of the race in a 30.1 and well within Skarma's window now. Skarma taking these softs a hell of a long stint. Look at the state of the tyre, very, very warm by this point. But I think still the right call to make guarantee the one stop. So where do we have some battles? That Jock one is an interesting one. It's shown him as red. Built on Matt left the session, so that's a lag out. Do not have built on Matt as a friend to get him back in the lobby. Look at this, Alwyn and Leon. I'm sure this is the two brothers side by side on the opposing tyre. And you're never going to fight your brother too hard, are you? So Dixie's got a fresh wing on his car. As you can see, he's looking much more comfortable on the front end now. He'll be comfortably flat up the hill, although he had to double take there because he just tried to turn in a bit early and he was worried about that inside curb. Oh, Speechy gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and that probably what could be an illegal overtake. He's going to have to give the position back, but it's an AI, and I don't think he understands that it's an AI car, so that's going to cost him some time. And he did get the illegal overtake, so that's how you see Speechy having to give that position up to Jock because he overtook him off track. Of course, picking up the penalty showed that he was definitely off circuit, so... Oh, excuse me. So as Built on Matt got back in, he has not as it stands. Keith and Speechy here having a bit of a tussle. We'll stay with this one, get some more on-track action as we go into almost the halfway point of the race. And Keith choosing to go through before the DRS line, so Speechy will go around the outside, he'll be able to tuck back in tight, And then he'll have DRS for good measure. So Speed J will go back through, as you do, through the inside, back to the racing line for his braking point to turn 1. And an easy retaining the position. Will Keith try and put him under more pressure, load up into turn 4 as Speed J has a bit of a moment on exit. So it is going to give Keith the run, but he'll just run out of energy, and I don't think he'll be able to make a big move in it. Oh, we have a bit of a battle at the front. We do, Matty and Rob Wills. So Matty now through, back to P2 on that soft to medium strategy. And way ahead of Skarma's window, but Skarma is not pitting just yet. So Skarma is looking to extend for that guaranteed one-stop opportunity. And I think that is smart, it is a strategy to take. Because Matty may struggle to get the mediums all the way at the end of the race. Can Shiv now get the move done in Mick? He'll look to the inside line up to turn 4, it's not quite there that time around. Mataman now back on this fight. He's on the back of Keith, he's got some energy on tap. So how is this one going to play out? Mick and Shiv still in a bit of a battle. We also have, in fact, there on the back Yeri fight as well, is further up ahead. Oh, it's that Carl that is not in the fight, but we also have Rob Wills and Metcalf and Keith all engrossing a bit of battle. Metcalf will look at that inside line up to turn 7. Also, well, oh, there's a big move, it's a double move, oh yeah, and Keith's round. He just cooked the brakes a little bit, and that's going to now allow Matoman to attack and get himself up to P7. Matoman driving a very, very strong recovery at this point. If he can clear Metcalf, then he's better to wait. Go through the DRS. The gap to the podium is not unthinkable. So Metcalf is going to pull away into the pits. Matoman will get a nice tasty extra bit of DRS. Skarma was also in the pits out the lead. Oh, excuse my yawning chat, I'm so rude. Skarma pits from the lead, he comes out in P6 and behind Matoman. Of course, Matoman is probably going to have to pit again. It would be a tremendous, a monumental effort if he takes the mediums anywhere close to the end of this race. So that was just people getting through AI. And I tell you something, whatever AI difficulty these guys have it on, they've got it absolutely nailed on the head, because the AI is running bang on the pace it should be for the pace of the grid, so that's good to see. So here we go, Shiv on Yeri, he's going to go through, no effort at all. DRS open, Shiv up to P3, he's now gained 9 positions on the grid. And let's look who's still to pit. So still Jock, Yeri, Shiv. Yeri though coming back on a big dive into turn 1. Shiv will take the outside line through 2. Get the inside king for 3, but Yeri now has the DRS, so he will probably stride away into turn 4, and Shiv will need to accept that he's came back through. Skarma picks up a time penalty for multiple warnings. Keith and Jock Oh, it's Jock and Mika both in the pits. Is Mika going to get the jumping Jock? Oh, Mika has just came in. Dixie now gaining on Bilton on his soft compound tyre. He's probably going for a soft to the end. And no retirement shit, just DCs from the lobby. Alwyn picks up a time penalty for multiple warnings. Now Shiv and Yeri. Shiv will go back down the inside lane. Where else do we have some battles? I think this is the biggest one. We've got one between Roddles and Alwyn. Actually, we could maybe see how this one plays out. No, I think we'll go for the Yeri Shiv battle down the main straight, and then we can jump to the Alwyn Roddles one also, because I think the moves are going to come in the DRS zone. So Yeri, can he mount an attack on Shiv down into turn 1? DRS will pop open. He's sticking in that toe line, and he is gaining. And it is going to be a move. We've seen him make a big bold one. Shiv will even go late on the brakes. They'll go side by side. Small bit of wheel contact there. Yeri will go through. Has Shiv managed to get the DRS back? And again for the second lap round, Yeri gets the double go of it. Skarma now gaining on Matoman. Matoman only 4.4 seconds off the lead of this pack now. And Dixie on a bit of a fight now for all the way up to P8. So he's made some gains. The Shiv and Yeri battle continues. So I think this is our biggest fight on track at the moment. All the other guys are just kind of stuck on a train, and Dixie's catching an AI car, so let's go aboard with Shiv. Right, do not overtake him here, Shiv. Don't do it. Tuck nicely in behind and get the big run. Now push. And don't let him send it again on you down into turn 1. So we'll go with Yeri, and we'll see his intentions, although Shiv is going to have a big gap now on, although Yeri's went way too deep there. Shiv been very reasonable in leaving space, and I think Yeri was quite opportunistic there to try and leave the nose in. Shiv done what he could do, and Yeri ends up round, and that's going to allow some drivers to capitalise as Dixie gets through now on Leon. Built a mat. Oh yeah, he's on the I car. So can Dixie now get involved with the top 6 battle? He's going to have a pit stop to come, or does he? I don't know. I don't see the tyres going another 12 laps, but he may be able to do something. Maybe praying for a safety car. Oh, and Yeri and Roddles make contact. I don't think Yeri's seen him coming, and I don't know if Yeri's got some damage. Oh no, and he's just came off track. He came from off track there and just went straight into Dixie. I don't know if Dixie's got any damage from that, but I don't really understand what's happened there. And I don't think Dixie's got damage, and he is in the DRS window. I don't think he'll care so much about that, because he done nothing wrong. Mataman now lost position to Skarma, but they're gaining on Shiv. And yeah, he's had to box off of that, and he's gone on to a hard compound tyre, which is an interesting one. Rodders and Dixie now. Dixie gets through on Rodders, manages to put a car between himself and Leon. I think was his biggest fight. Dixie now up to P6, of course. Going to have another pit stop, and Rodders has touched that curb on the outside line, which will send them very unbalanced into the corner. Now Dixie needs to try and use that to jump away, although they've got DRS, so they will gain the gap back up. In this Laverick and Alwyn battle, how is this one going to play out? Alwyn with a lot of energy in reserve. Shiv making his pit stop of the race. Is Dixie going to be put under any pressure? I don't think so. He's well up the road. So, I'm intrigued now to see what happens here. Dixie has done a huge recovery. But where does he go from the pit stop? That is the interesting one. Oh, Leon's round! No, Leon has lost the car in the inside curb. Turn 5. And it's fishtailed the car round. And he's been fair there, staying well out of the way. Shiv will now get through. Leon drops to P10. And that could be the tyres coup. Dixie now into the top 5. So if he is going to have to pit again, I think he needs to give himself time to recover. He's got the pace on that soft tyre to get back up the grid. Because there's no way he takes that another 9 laps. I would be absolutely stunned. And he has now broke DRS. Oh no, but Rodders has managed to push to get back inside it. Rodders did just sneak DRS there. And he's broke it from built on Matt. Masterman goes for a second pit stop. That will be another new soft compound tyre, I would think. It is. And he will now try and make gains from what was being absolutely nailed at the start of the race. And he comes out P9, so that shows the extent of Matt's recovery. And could, in theory, still strike P4 here. I think P4 will be pretty comfortable. Speechy and Shiv now going to do some battle, I think. Where else do we have a fight? Rodders and Dixie. This one will continue. Dixie holding a bit of pace at the moment in a very, very old tyre as it stands as well. Can he stretch that soft out to the end of the race? And no, Dixie is coming in, so Dixie boxes from P4. Now let's see where he comes out, and built on map boxes as well. I think Dixie will be behind the Laverick Metcalf battle, not too far behind it also, so gains to be made here for Dixie. Let's look at position changes. He's still gained 4 and can definitely gain more. Gap only around 5 seconds on pit exit. So it's time to show what pace he's got and not do that too many times because he'll pick up a penalty. Because top 6 is still on offer here if you can get up to the guys with penalties and keep them down, so that's going to be something to keep his eyes set on, as Matoman is now making gains on that fresh compound tyre. Up to P6, P5, well within striking distance, then Rodders 5 seconds up the road. Rodder's also had a very, very strong race. Speechy as well, gained a lot. Rob Wills, after that contact at turn 1, it was a bit of a mare. As Mick now pits. So Mataman on Shiv. It's going to be quite an easy DRS pass. Mataman will set the fastest lap of the race by a big margin, 27.8. Through he goes back to P4. And now the podium recovery is on. Mick though out on a fresh tyre. So Mick has got track position over. And Skarma. Can Skarma be caught? 4.3, 4.1 seconds the gap. Oh, but for the moment, who's that? Oh, and it's Rob Wills. Rob Wills has had a moment in sector 3 up the hill at turn 12. And I think he's got some wing damage in that. It's just probably then for quite a horrendous day for Rob. We want to put this one behind him as quickly as possible. Shiv now going to be pulled round on the coattails of Mataman and Dixie, getting himself up to within striking distance of that P top 6, maybe even if he can get far enough up the road close to P5. Rob DNS, unfortunate one Rob, gutted for you there mate. That turn 1 incident at lap 1 was a very interesting one. I'm not really sure what went on there. So Mataman has a nice bit of an advantage to Mick. Mick pushing a little bit to stay in front, so that's going to come to Matthew anytime soon. So he just needs to stay with it. We'll see there. Mick actually being held up a little bit by the Ferrari leaving the pits. Yellow flag, and so, oh, could this be a safety car? Oh no, no it's not. I thought it might have been a safety car. There we go. Full yellow flag, orange side pods. Oh, Rob. Yeah, he's got absolutely rattled at turn 1, mate. It was interesting. So Dixie's got through on Laverick. And now having a good look at Metcalf. And I have a feeling that Adam's enjoying himself a little bit. He needs to push through Metcalf now and get within that penalty distance. Let's have a look at tyres and see what he's faced with. This is a hard compound in front of him, and then of course some older softs ahead. So Adam's going to push on now. He'll lose that outside line, dropping it down the hill at turn 9. He'll force Metcalf into that tight line, which is going to give him the better exit. DRS will pop open, and is Dixie a man on a mission? Does he want to go through nice and early? Yes he is. Up to turn 10, through he goes. Inside line, goes a grip in that soft compound tyre, and up the hill he goes. Skarma now has lost the position to Matty. The question is, can Mick in 5 laps close a 9-second gap? Let's look at penalties. Just 3 seconds for Alwyn, so Dixie needs to find a few tenths to get inside that top 6. But Mataman, if Mataman can get back to that podium, I think that is a very healthy drive. After being nailed to the back of the grid at lap 1 and then going on a 2-stop strategy, let me just say that, on the 2-stop, he's done a very, very good job. Skarma of course making the 1-stop work as well. I think he's been able to mix it with the big boys, taking that tyre and dragging it out, and they're showing that he's not to be written off ever. He's played the 1-stop strategy very, very well. Rodders and Metcalf now in a bit, but Metcalf's hard cut tyre now really being detriment. Rodders will get through again up in the run into turn 9. Not much Metcalf can do about that, although he will look back to the inside line, but the hard tyre just not going to give you that exit you're looking for. And Dixie now within 1 second of R1, so he's having a strong one, and Dixie P6 will be his best result he can get. Will be a 9 position gain, so I think he'll be relatively happy with how he's got on. P15 to P6 is a very strong result. Their biggest gainer outside R1. R1 and Dixie both had the best races out of anybody here tonight. Roddles has had a good one as well. Oh, and he'll go a little bit deep down into turn 1. Oh, and R1's picked up another time penalty, so that is really going to hurt the end of R1's race. Adam just needs to be careful and not pick up any more penalties, and R1 will go deep there, and he'll need to accept that Dixie goes through, and convincingly so. So Matoman has 50% energy, Mick has none. Matoman, if you're listening, it's time to go. If you want that podium back, I think you need to push on, young man. And stop straddling the lines and getting warnings, you dope. R1 will stay to the back of Dixie's. I'm going to use Dixie's pace to pull himself along, but he's not going to be able to do it. Built on Matt, still that AI'd car. For the back of the grid we have Leon and Speechy. Keith also tailed in a battle for P12. But Matty has been the man to beat today. Rob, I think, would have... Yeah, Rob would have definitely been in this P1 battle. It's a shame that was kind of taken away from his Matoman as well. I think we were really set for a 5-car battle, for the fight, for the win, especially with one guy out of the 5 trying that alternate strategy, but this is how it goes sometimes. You know, racing can't always be 100% clean as we like. You just got to take the good with the bad at times. Oh, I'm yawning too much, chat. I'm a very tired boy tonight. So, battles are really just at the back of the pack here. Matty got over 4 seconds on Scarman. That gap's just going out and out now, so at this point it's chilling. Although Matoman now getting the gap down. And this here is by without a doubt, and bar no penalties and staying as it is, but if Matthew gets back to the podium here, it's a very close fought driver of the day. I don't even know if P-Zero gives points for it, but I would always call it anyway. But I think Matt and Dixie both deserve, and that's not just because I know them well, because R1 has had a very good race, also has Rodders. They've all gained the same in Rodders, R1 and Dixie, so very competitive. But here comes Matt on Mick to claim back at least a podium from this race after that big controversial incident at turn 1. Mick though will defend it off, and Matoman needs to be careful there on that inside line. Who's this guy? Oh, I don't know what that was. Somebody asking to sign up there. We'll look at that later. So Matoman has got through on Mick. I missed that. I couldn't even commentate on it. Sorry guys, had some information come through on my phone. So Matoman back into the podium position. He's now just got to try and keep Mick at bay. He does not want to be put under any pressure. Built on Matt is just an AI car as we know. So we'll stay with this battle as we go on to the penultimate lap of the race. Matty still streaking away out in front, gap now 5.9 seconds, and he is in Chilltown even if Scar moves to close back up. And that'll be the thing. Let's actually look at penalties. Is Matthew going to be thinking, can he, Matthew, in 2 laps get the gap to 3 seconds and get back to P2? What a drive that would be. and a very deserved one at that. Gap coming down, and of course Skarma needs to be careful it doesn't come down too much. So Skarma's podium under a little bit of threat now. He needs 1.2 seconds. Mick needs to find that. So Mick, we need Matt within 2.3 and Mick within the 3-second window, or within 6/10 of Matt to be within Skarma's penalty gap. We've had a yellow flag up at the top of the hill. I think that's Jerry. Yes, it was having a bit of a moment, but we'll go on board with Matt as he comes down to the last couple of corners for the penultimate time, and he will take us on to what has been a very, very dominant drive and a very, very good job. Up Mataman, no SPW putting him under pressure. He is very, very close to that penalty gap, but it looks like Skarma can hang on a little bit more. He is going to bring home that podium. Stephen, I think that's just made SPW's night. But moment of appreciation for Matty as he does Sector 2. He has been on another level today in terms of race pace and racecraft. He's kept himself out of trouble and just used the strategy to his advantage. Skarma doing a very, very good one-stop. He's been very consistent, but just now he is going to fall outside as it stands, that podium position. Matty though, he's coming up, and I feel for Skarma here because I think he is going to fall to P4 over one penalty, and he's drove deservingly a solid race to P2. As we see somebody there go off, that's an Aston Martin guy, but Matty coming to what I would call the second last corner of the race. He's been very consistent. He's drove splendidly, simply lovely, as the Max Verstappen fans would say. Of if you're a Lewis man, some hammer time or an L plan just for USPW. Matty will take the checkered flag though for P0's round 1 at Bahrain. Skarma will take a tremendous one-stop drive at P2, but Matoman, after getting taken out and falling to the back of the grid on lap 1 of the race, recovers to an absolute tremendous P2. Mick will come home in P3. Skarma does lose out in that penalty window. He'll drop to P4, but still points and positions gained on the one-stop. Shift P5. Adam will solidify a very solid P6 drive also from P15 in the grid. 9 positions gained there for Adam. Rodders up to P7. Arwin will be P8. Speechy will be P9, but he will lose out to Bilton, Matt, Leon, and maybe even Laverick here. Speechy will fall. I think Laverick will get P11 also. He does. Speechy will go to P12. Mika will be P13, and then Jock will lose out to Keith and drop. And Keith, in fact, will go to all the way to P13. Mika down to 14. Jock 15. Metcalf will stay P16. Yeri 17, and Dale Shooter in P18. Rob Wilson only DNF after getting that big contact at turn 1, as we said. Huge side pod damage on the car, and it was more a wrestling match for 29 laps rather than a race. So Rob chose to call time early. Let's see though, I don't know if our guys will come in and talk. I'll get Mataman in and then see if he's got Matty and Mick to be added to the chat. And when I add them, I'll go silent for a little second, chat. I need to grab the restroom. 1 second, and then I will be back and we'll get a chat with the guys. Matthew, can you hear me? Am I going crazy?
I can. Yeah, you're good now, man.
Right, Matt, do you have Matty and Mick Are you able to add these gentlemen to the party to see if they will come for a chit chat?
I can indeed.
Thank you very much, sir. I don't have them, so it'll just be easier for you to do it.
No, that's fair, man. Alright.
Yes, Adam, it looked like you were enjoying yourself. I will say that. I always know when you're having a good race is when you do that kind of fainting the move on the inside and showing people you're there. We'll just see if we can get a race winner and our P3 man in. Position gain for Mick. Skarma, of course, on that one-stop strategy, just losing out, unfortunately, in the penalties. Drove a very, very good race. The only guy in the top 4 making the one-stop work, him and Shiv. I'm on your list, Mick. Oh, are you, Mick? Oh, you might be. Well, Matt's got you anyway, so we'll get you in for a chit-chat. And hopefully Matt...
I can't add Mick for some reason.
You can't add Mick?
No.
Oh, Mick is saying that I have him, so... Let's just see. Shows you how much. Oh, would you look at that? Mick was right. It's like I didn't know. So what we do, we go first to third or third to first? First or third? First or third? We'll see who joins first. Whoever joins at the two, then we'll start with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's first and third to join. So Mick's first. So there we go. But we'll just start with our P3 man. Mick, firstly, welcome. Are you here, sir?
I think you're still loading in.
Ah. A little bit of pulsing mic on the party. Hopefully he gets connected. Mick, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
Right, we can hear you now. So, as I was saying, I don't know if you could hear us when you first come in. Firstly, welcome. P4 on the grid in qualifying. Finished P3, getting onto the podium. 2-stop. Seemed to be on that grid. Normally, from personal experience, the 1-stop's always a preferred strategy, but the 2-stop seemed to be very, very strong in that particular grid of driver. Was that always your intention, to do a 2-stop?
Yeah, I think maybe it's setup based, but I've got very high tyre wear, and when I had Skarma and Matty battling in front of me, even with them battling, they were still maintaining the gap. So I knew from early on that I had to go 2-stop, and that's why I went early to try and get the undercut. But I got held up a little bit, so I just had to try and maintain the pace. And at the end there, I just see Matty O'Man was a man on a mission, so I just let him go. See, Skarma had the penalty, so I just tried to stay in the DRS and just stay behind Matty O'Man and just knock down that penalty gradually, and luckily I did at the end.
So that was going to be my follow-up question, was going to be, when Matt came along, of course, you have a choice. Do you fight Matt and try and maintain the position, or use Matt, seeing how quick he is, to gain that gap? So is that why you never put up much of a fight, just intentions like, I can still get a podium here if I can use Matt to bridge that gap?
To be honest with you as well, Chris, I don't know if I'll get a penalty for this, but I actually heard you in comms say he had 50% ERS and I only had 9, so I knew from then as well. And obviously I knew he was driving angry from what happened at turn 1. I didn't quite see what happened. I just steered left and kept out the way. But yeah, I heard he had more ERS, so, but yeah, and obviously racing with Matty O'Man previously, I know he's that much quicker than me as well, so I took the decision, sit behind him, try and get Skarma, and try and start the season off with a podium, and that's what I've done.
Well, very good job. It was a very good race as well. There was some very entertaining stuff on track, and yeah, talk about getting your season off to a flying start. That's exactly how you do it.
Yeah, thanks Chris, thanks everyone, and good race everyone, good start to the season, thank you.
I second that. It was a very enjoyable race. Matoman, a P2 man, I mean, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room. Lap 1, turn 1, an absolute exocet Alpine out of nowhere.
Yeah,
caused some joys, and I think now, I know from a driver standpoint that looked very brutal, and I also said that it was an interesting one, but I think he's genuinely just shot the brakes, absolutely missed the zone, and genuinely tried to avoid the pack because he was on the inside line making the move. And I mean, it doesn't excuse what's happened there, and I think he's going to experience some dire consequences to what happened, but it made for some entertaining recovery driving.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed that. After what happened there, I saw I was about 20 odd seconds from the pack. After that, I was like, well, I thought that was race over, but I thought, you know what, crack on, let's see what happens. And well, yeah, well, Mick, you did do a really good, really good pace then, and that was like fair play. I could see you keep maintaining the 2 second gap, and I didn't know whether I'd be able to catch you. I'll be honest with you.
Cheers, mate.
But it was a good race. I did actually enjoy that after that turn one incident. It was it's a new way of braking.
That's a polite way to put it, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you get damage from that incident? I know
I did,
Rob
yes.
got some quite cataclysmic side pod damage and pretty much made his car undrivable. Was yours just wing?
Mine was just front right wing damage, and after I got it, the rest of the lap I spent most of the time trying to just like punch it and get to the pits as quick as I could, just to get it changed. But yeah, it was only wing.
So, in that sense, relatively lucky. So you says that you felt your race was over. At what point did you think, right, well maybe this is not so much over and maybe there's actually something to fight for here?
Funnily enough, I asked Adam what pits it was saying on his. You know, you got the little thing on your right hand side that it says where you pit between. Yeah, saying what was his? No, he went. I think he said that like 13, something like that on the mediums. I was like, okay, right, I can sort of. I saw him. I think I was like 30%. I was like, okay, let's see what I can see. If I'll push it a bit more, and I was just pushing every single lap. I weren't giving it a chance. Just going all out, balls to the floor.
Well, very, very good job, Matthew. Probably the strongest drive out with Matty on the grid there today to recover and keep your head down from an incident like that. I would have probably lost the head. I would have been gone absolutely bonkers. And a thing that you normally do after things like that, you came home with no penalties. That is something you've got to take away from that race. If you don't forget about the recovery drive. You build on that, no penalties.
Yeah, that did shock me. I didn't notice it until I got my first warning and I was like, oh.
But a very good job. Congratulations. P2. Very well deserved.
So.
No worries. Matty, I think you did sneak into the party. Very good evening. That was, I said it just at the end of the race. Very, very, I don't want to say overly dominant because it's not like you drove massively away, but very comfortable. You look like a man just out to do a job, and you've done the job you set out to do.
Yeah, I think once we realised Paul had a 3-second penalty, it were over, wasn't it?
Of course, you get a driver's eye view of the lap 1 incident as well.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it back yet, but it looks pretty bad.
Did
you can't
you
be too far away from my car?
Just manage to avoid it?
Yeah, he missed me completely.
So I guess once you got kind of through that palaver and then seen that Skarma was struggling, the gap was maybe holding for a little bit, but then you really started to wind the speed up, and Skarma stayed with you for a couple of laps. She's went back and forward for maybe 4 or 5 laps, and then I think his mediums just got to a point where your tyre was just better, and from there on in it was just bringing the car home, really.
Yeah, knowing Paul, he's always looking to do that one stop. I think he made a mistake in the end.
Well, look, I would agree, yeah. The 2-stop looked much more powerful on that grid. The 1-stop is a strategy we tend to see used most there, but I guess that's proved that in a grid that's very close, if enough drivers go to the 2-stop, it just kind of cancels out that 1-stop being so effective. Although, if he doesn't get the penalty, he does gain 3 positions off it because he would have finished P2, so maybe Skarma will look at it different.
I think what didn't help him either, when he came out behind Matt Oman and Chiv, and obviously they're pretty fast drivers, so he wasn't going to sail past them.
Yeah.
It took him a fair few laps to get past.
So looking forward, Matty, start stringing the wins together, is that your aim? Get the damage done early in the season, so that maybe if there is any mishaps to come, you've got a bit of a margin to allow it to be comfortable.
Yeah, you got to get early points on board, especially when you see Rob didn't finish today's race. That's a massive help. Because Rob will be there come end of season.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I hope that maybe we get. I would. Well, it depends on obviously the guys that run the place and who makes the decisions, but maybe the racing hub could follow the season in its entirety, because it'd be interesting to see how this one plays out, especially in qualifying. Seeing how close that grid was in qualifying was pretty damn epic. You don't see that anywhere really. So
Yeah, I
very
think that's
good
the best
effort.
qualifying we've ever had.
Yeah. And
In
what
terms
better
of
way to do
everyone
it when you do
close.
it in your first live? Perfect, right?
Yep, perfect. Win on the board. Move on to Jeddah.
Oh, so Jeddah for round 2, that'll be an interesting one. But very good job, Matty, and very, very well deserved victory today.
Thank you, mate.
Besides Matoman's recovery, the next strongest drive. Couple notable mentions as well. I think Alwyn and Dixie in that midfield, they gained a lot of position. I think they were the biggest gainers in the race in 9 positions. So it's a very, very strong one for them. But I don't know, do you have driver of the days in this? Do I need to call that for yous? Don't think so, right? If you're not at the live, you just won't give points for driver of the day.
I suppose you could call one.
So, well, I'm gonna. Why the hell not? My driver of the day, how we usually do it in our Lobby leagues, is worth 2 points. And if I was sitting and I was doing it for a league that we do, I would probably be splitting the driver of the day between Matthew and Dixie. And I said, like I said on chat, not just because I know the guys, because it was one, a genuinely good recovery drive, and Dixie had a genuinely good and not an easy fight to get from P15 to P6. Notable mentions going out to guys like Skalma, Matty, Cruise Control at the front. But I think Matty can turn the screw more than that. So, that's what I would choose. I would have shared it between Mr. Metaman and Mr. Dixie. And I hate that I have to share it with him.
Rodders deserves a shout out as well.
Oh yes, that was the other driver in the middle pack. It was Rodders, Dixie and Alwyn. They had all gained 9 positions by the end of the race actually. I'm glad you said that, Matty. Thank you for keeping me right. That's terrible. I watched the race, I should know that. Right, on that note, P0 will be finished for this Sunday evening, and who knows, keep your eye on the channel, it might just be back next week. Take care guys.